Something is shifting inside of you. Something you can't quite name. It's not just sadness, it's deeper. Not just confusion, it's heavier. You're not just tired, you're emptying. And the world around you is starting to look different. The things that used to excite you now feel meaningless. The relationships that once fit so perfectly now feel like foreign clothes. The structures you've built, identity, career, beliefs, they're all cracking. And no matter how hard you try to hold them together, something inside whispers, let it fall. You didn't choose this, did you? You didn't wake up one morning and say, I want my entire internal world to collapse. But here you are, in the middle of a storm you can't explain. And that's exactly how a dark spiritual awakening begins. You see, we've been conditioned to believe awakening is a blissful, glowing experience, light beams, peaceful mantras, and a perfectly curated spiritual feed. But that's only half the story. The other half, the real half, is messy, disorienting, and brutal. It doesn't come to make you feel better. It comes to make you real. And before it builds you up, it has to tear you down. So if you're feeling like your life is unraveling, your mind is spiraling, and your soul is screaming, this might not be a breakdown. It might be a breakthrough, disguised as destruction. The first sign that you're truly in a dark spiritual awakening is the deep, almost unbearable sense that nothing makes sense anymore. It's not just confusion, it's a total collapse of meaning. You look at your job and wonder, why am I doing this? You scroll through social media and feel sick. You hear people talking about goals, money, fame, and it all sounds hollow. This is not depression, this is dissolution. Your soul is dissolving the old matrix of meaning you were programmed into. The ego hates this. It panics. It tries to grasp at anything familiar. But the soul knows, for something higher to be born, the false must be buried. The third sign is disconnection from everyone and everything. You start to feel like you don't belong anywhere. Your friends don't get you. Your family doesn't understand. Crowds drain you. Small talk feels like poison. And you begin to wonder, am I losing my mind? Am I becoming antisocial? No, you're not crazy. You're evolving. And your soul is pulling you away from the noise so you can hear the truth. It's not that you hate people, it's that you're becoming sensitive to energy, and most of the world is still asleep. You can't fake connection anymore. You crave depth, truth, presence. And until you find it, solitude will be your temple. The fourth sign is emotional chaos. Rage, grief, anxiety, guilt, shame, they come in waves. One moment you're numb, the next you're sobbing uncontrollably. You're not broken. You're purging. Every suppressed emotion, every unhealed wound, every inherited trauma, it's all surfacing now because your soul is tired of carrying it. This pain isn't random. It's sacred. It's the fire that purifies you.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
And the more you resist it, the more it hurts. But if you let it move through you, you'll begin to feel something beyond emotion. Clarity. The kind of clarity that only comes after you've faced your own darkness and didn't run. The fifth sign is the collapse of your identity. You don't know who you are anymore. The roles you played, parent, partner, achiever, peacemaker, they feel like costumes. You can't pretend anymore, and that terrifies your ego. But this is the most important part, because identity is the prison and awakening is the escape. You're not here to be someone. You're here to remember who you've always been. And that remembering requires forgetting. Forgetting everything they told you to be. Everything you thought you had to become to be loved. When that identity dies, your soul breathes for the first time. The sixth sign is the urge to destroy what you've built. This one is terrifying. You might feel an intense, irrational pull to quit your job, leave your relationship, move to another country, or start over completely. And the people around you will panic. They'll say, you're making a mistake. But what they don't understand is that your soul is trying to free itself. It's not about escaping, it's about aligning. And if what you've built was based on illusion, it must crumble. That doesn't mean you act impulsively. It means you listen deeply. You ask yourself, is this life I've built an expression of my truth, or a mask I wear to survive? And the seventh sign, the one few talk about, is the silence of God. You pray and hear nothing. You ask for signs and see none. You feel abandoned by the very force you've been seeking. This is the sacred void, the place where all seekers eventually arrive. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Because in the silence, your faith is tested. Not faith in religion, but faith in your own soul. Can you walk without light? Can you trust without proof? Can you surrender without knowing what comes next? This is where warriors are born, where mystics are made, where the soul becomes sovereign. So I ask you, which of these signs are showing up in your life right now? And more importantly, are you resisting them? Or are you willing to let them take you deeper? Because the truth is, most people run from the dark night. They numb it, escape it, distract from it. But if you stay, if you let it break you open, you will emerge as something the world has never seen before. In the next part, we'll explore how to navigate a dark spiritual awakening without losing your mind, your purpose, or your light. You'll learn how to protect your energy, how to decode your inner chaos, and how to use this darkness as a doorway to your highest power. When you're in the dark night, everything you knew becomes uncertain. The world doesn't just shift, it unravels. And no amount of positive thinking, spiritual bypassing, or external validation can save you from it. This isn't a place where mantras fix things or where gratitude journals pull you out. This is the underworld of your soul, the space between who you were and who you are becoming. And if you're here, if you're truly in it, then you know this is not a phase, it's a passage. And the only way through is deeper in. The first thing you must realize is that you are not alone. It feels like you're alone. The silence is deafening. The isolation is real. But you are not abandoned. You are in a womb, not a grave. Your connection to the divine isn't broken, it's being rewired. This silence you feel is not absence. It's sacred space, a pause before the rebirth. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your intuition is sharpening. But for that to happen, the noise has to go. And in the absence of noise, the soul begins to speak not in words, but in frequency. That's why it's so uncomfortable. You're learning to feel without filters, to sense without proof. You are becoming fluent in the language of the invisible. Still, it's easy to panic in the void. Easy to think, I'm doing something wrong, or I've lost my path. That's the mind trying to grasp something it can't control. But the void isn't a mistake. It's medicine. It's detox. It's the deconstruction of everything shallow so you can finally build something sacred. And that building begins with presence. Not with fixing, not with finding answers, but with being, sitting in the fire without fleeing, breathing through it, listening to your body, feeling the emotions, watching the thoughts without becoming them. This is the work, not glamorous, not shareable, but holy. One of the most important things to do during a dark spiritual awakening is to protect your energy like it's your lifeline, because it is. When your soul is shedding lifetimes of programming, you become highly sensitive. Other people's energy can feel like knives. Crowds become overwhelming. Even small talk can feel like betrayal. You can't afford to be around people who drain you. You can't keep entertaining relationships that require you to shrink. You must learn to say no, not from ego, but from reverence. Your energy is sacred real estate, and not everyone deserves access to it, especially now. This is the time to create boundaries that protect your becoming. Another key to navigating the void is learning to depersonalize the pain. When the darkness hits, your first instinct will be to internalize it. I must be broken. I must be cursed. I must have done something wrong. But this isn't punishment, it's purification. Your soul is excavating layers of programming, trauma and illusion that no longer align. Yes, it hurts. But it's not you that's the problem, it's what's leaving you that hurts. Can you witness it without attaching to it? Can you feel the grief without calling it your identity? That's the mastery that begins to emerge in the void, the ability to sit in the fire without becoming the burn. You also need to resist the urge to explain yourself. People won't understand what you're going through, and that's okay. They're not supposed to. This is between you and God, between you and your soul. Trying to get others to validate your awakening will only create more pain. Let them think you're lost. Let them think you're crazy. You were never here to be understood, you were here to be transformed. And those who are meant to walk with you will recognize your frequency, not your explanations. Practical advice matters too. Nourish your body. Stay hydrated. Sleep as much as you need. Journal your thoughts, even the ones that scare you. Get into nature. Let the earth hold you. When your mind is loud, come back to your breath. When emotions overwhelm you, put your hand on your heart and whisper, I'm still here. Grounding doesn't mean escaping the awakening, it means anchoring it into your body. This isn't just a spiritual experience, it's a full-bodied initiation. And the body must be honored as the sacred vessel it is. Most importantly, allow yourself to not know. The mind will claw for answers, timelines, outcomes. But this isn't a test you pass with logic. This is a surrender you survive with trust. You don't need to know what's next. You just need to stay present with what is. That's the paradox. The less you resist the unknown, the more the unknown begins to reveal itself. It's not about seeing the whole path. It's about mastering the next breath, the next step, the next moment of courage. So I ask you, can you sit in the silence and still believe you're guided? Can you walk through the dark and still trust you're not lost? Because that's the secret of the dark night. It's not about punishment. It's about preparation. You're not being abandoned. You're being refined. And if you can hold your center through this storm, you'll emerge with a clarity that can't be ignored and a power that was always yours but had to be remembered through fire. In the next part, we will uncover the purpose of this dark awakening, what it's actually preparing you for, the soul gifts that awaken in the aftermath, and how you'll recognize the moment your new self is finally born. There comes a moment in every dark awakening when you realize something has died and yet you're still breathing. Your old self, the one driven by validation, survival, and performance, has crumbled. The mask is gone. The game is over. And what's left is terrifyingly quiet. You look around and recognize nothing. You look inward and don't know who you are. But here's the sacred truth. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The moment when the false self dissolves and the true self begins to stir. The moment when life is no longer about becoming what the world wants but remembering what your soul always was. Rebirth doesn't come with fireworks. It comes in whispers, in subtle shifts, in a softness you didn't know you were capable of. You don't wake up one day fully enlightened. You wake up raw, stripped, humbled. You find yourself crying for no reason, feeling beauty in the smallest things, a bird's song, sunlight on your skin, the quiet between thoughts. These aren't breakdowns, they're breakthroughs. This is the soul remembering how to feel again. After all the noise, the armor, the pretending, your essence is finally safe enough to rise. But before you can fully embody your new self, you must understand why you had to die in the first place. The death wasn't punishment, it was alignment. The old version of you was built on survival, on pleasing others, on chasing love, on performing for approval. That version of you was never the real you. It was the adaptation, the coping mechanism. And when your soul finally said, enough, the universe responded by burning everything that wasn't you to the ground. It felt cruel. But it was sacred, because what's left now is truth. Unfiltered, unedited, undeniable. You begin to realize that your pain had a purpose. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every heartbreak cracked your heart open so light could enter. Every silence from the divine wasn't abandonment, it was initiation. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. For what? For authenticity, for divine embodiment, for living a life so honest, so aligned that your very presence becomes medicine. You stop chasing purpose and start living it. Not as a concept, but as a frequency. It's no longer about what you do, it's about who you are. And who you are is no longer negotiable. As the new self emerges, you'll start to notice strange things. Your intuition sharpens. You sense energy in ways you never could before. You feel the difference between truth and illusion instantly. You attract new people's souls who recognize your vibration without needing explanations. Old relationships fall away effortlessly, not out of hatred, but because your energy no longer fits their narrative. You're not trying to fix anymore. You're not trying to save. You're simply being. And in that being, others either rise to meet you or fade from your field. This is the natural consequence of awakening. The world around you reorganizes to match the truth within you. But with this new self comes a new responsibility. You're no longer allowed to betray yourself. The days of saying yes when you mean no are over. The days of shrinking to make others comfortable are done. You've seen too much, felt too deeply, died too many times to go back to sleep. Your soul demands full embodiment now. That means living with integrity even when it's inconvenient, speaking truth even when your voice shakes, choosing alignment over approval. This is the cost of freedom, but it's also the reward. You'll be tempted, of course. The old world will try to lure you back with comfort, with praise, with distractions. But you'll know the taste of illusion now. You'll feel the hollowness of anything not rooted in realness. And the more you honor your new self, the more grace flows into your life. Not the kind of grace that shields you from pain, but the kind that carries you through it with wisdom and strength. You begin to trust life again, not because it's easy, but because you remember who you are. You remember that you came here not to fit in, but to awaken. Not to play a role, but to embody your soul. This is the birth of the true self. Subtle, powerful, sacred. It doesn't scream. It doesn't perform. It radiates. And from this place you no longer ask, what is my purpose? Your existence is the purpose. Your presence is the offering. What you do from here is simply an extension of your being. Whether you write, heal, teach, build, or love, it comes from overflow, not emptiness. You no longer hustle for worth. You express from wholeness. And that, my friend, is liberation. So I ask you, are you willing to stop running from who you are becoming? Are you willing to let go of the safety of your past self, even if it means walking into the unknown? Because what waits for you on the other side of this death is the version of you that remembers why you were born. In the final part, we will dive into what life looks like after the rebirth, how to embody your awakened self, how to serve without losing your center, and how to walk the world as a warrior of light in a time of great shadow. When you've walked through the dark night, when your identity has been shattered and your soul laid bare, something irreversible happens. You become light. Not in the superficial, performative sense. Not in the way people talk about good vibes only, or spiritual aesthetics. But in the most real, grounded, unshakable way. You become light because you faced the dark and didn't run. You've sat in the silence and didn't numb it. You've died and come back, not as a version of who you were, but as who you truly are. And now the question becomes, how do you live from this place? The first truth is this: awakening doesn't make you superior. It makes you responsible. You are now a keeper of something sacred. Awareness. And awareness changes everything. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unfeel what you've felt. You're not just living for yourself anymore. You're moving through the world as a frequency, a mirror, a guide whether you realize it or not. And that means your choices matter. Your presence matters. Your integrity matters more than ever. Living as light means choosing truth even when it costs you. It means walking away from what's easy if it isn't aligned. It means owning your voice, your boundaries, your energy. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs you, clear and unfiltered. But don't make the mistake of thinking this path will be clean or easy. It won't be. In fact, once you awaken, life often tests you even harder, not to punish, but to refine. You'll be asked to embody what you know, not just talk about it. You'll face the same patterns, but now with the awareness to choose differently. You'll be called to love deeper, speak clearer, and forgive faster, not because you're weak, but because your soul no longer feeds on drama. You no longer seek chaos as a form of identity. You seek peace, not the passive kind, but the revolutionary, soul-rooted kind that changes rooms without saying a word. And yes, you'll still feel pain. You'll still feel doubt. Light doesn't mean you stop being human. It means you stop being ruled by your wounds. It means when fear comes, you breathe through it rather than collapse. When grief arrives, you let it move through you like a river instead of damming it up. When joy visits, you welcome it fully without bracing for it to leave. Living as light means being present, not perfect. It means holding space for all of it, the beauty, the mess, the mystery. One of the most powerful things you'll come to realize is that service becomes natural. You no longer force it. You don't need to save the world or fix everyone. You simply radiate clarity, and those who are ready will find you. Your work, your art, your words, your silence, it all becomes healing. Not because you're trying, but because you are. You don't need a stage or a title. Your life becomes the transmission. Your alignment becomes the invitation. So now I ask you, can you trust yourself to live this truth, even when no one's watching? Can you stand in your power without needing applause? Can you stay soft in a world that rewards armor? Because this is the real initiation. Not just awakening, but embodiment. Not just seeing the light, but walking as it. Every day, in every room, with every breath. You are not here to convince. You are here to become. To live so honestly, so fully, so fearlessly aligned with your soul that even your silence speaks. Even your stillness shakes the ground. That is what it means to walk as light. And now, it begins.